Hey everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk Leeds with me, GWFM. I'm joined once again by my esteemed co-host, Mattinho Got Game. Say hello, mate.
Right, guys.
And yeah, today we're going to be previewing the Wigan game. But before we get into that, we are going to be looking at the previous game, the last game. I suppose, yeah, it's the same thing. Against Nottingham Forest, which was, for me, one of the most frustrating games ever known to man. Brief, just get us underway. Brief summary.
We got FM'd.
We got FM'd. That's correct. That's correct. Now, if anyone's not familiar with the term getting FM'd, it's where if you're just imagine you're playing as football manager and you're a manager and you've absolutely destroyed a team. You've had about 25 shots and they've had one, and you haven't scored and they've scored one. That's what's classed as being FM'd, because basically it's like the game just doesn't want you to win. Is how it makes you feel. But anyway, yeah, it wasn't the best of. It was a good game, and I'll just briefly before I let you give your main opinion. But for me, the most positive thing was the fact that the possession, like people, I've seen a few comments like comparing this to Reading and whatever, with just having a possession game and not having a final, like an end result, if you like, end product. But the difference between Reading, well, they seem to have a lot of the possession at the back. I remember, especially as soon as Saiz came on, we had the ball permanently in their half, and that was the positive thing. It was hard watching us not be able to create anything, and the things we did create were going just wide or whatever, like the chuffing, the flick at the end from Pablo Hernandez. He like tried doing like one of those back heel type things, didn't he? And it went just wide.
Yeah.
We'll get on to the handball later, don't worry. But yeah, I don't know. There were so many chances. Well, missed opportunities for the chances, sort of thing, to actually get the final ball there. And yeah, I think that Jack Clark played a part as well in the reason why we got an equaliser. But anyway, what's your thoughts on the game, Martinho?
Disappointed, obviously, where you have the amount of possession. I mean, I think at one point we had 88% of the possession for a spell.
It's like watching Barcelona.
Yeah.
In the peak.
To not get the thing, it was just such a silly goal to concede.
Yeah.
And I'm not so much. The marking was a bit lax, admittedly. Maybe the keeper's positioning a little bit off. But the thing that annoyed me the most is there was no one stood on that back post. That just annoys me, because if someone stood on there, he probably gets to it and clears it off the line. But I mean, we had most of the possession. We created a lot. It just seemed like a lot of half chances. When we get to that fight, we're really good at passing. Our defensive area through the midfield. But as soon as we get to that final third, it's just the ball's just never quite there. It's a yard off where it should be. We don't get the rub of the green sometimes. We definitely should have had a penalty. I think for that Ginger Nobler, just bundling Roofe over after he got the first touch on the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall just disappointing, really, because I think we could have won that game and won it kind of convincingly. We just got to stop. So when we get to those areas, just picking the right ball. And
you think that's what it is then? Just decision making, or do you think it's just the ball to just miss hitting the crosses or whatever? What do you think?
I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. To be honest, sometimes we put the ball into the right areas, but no one's just going and attacking it and gambling and just trying to get just get a touch on it. Sometimes it's just a terrible pass or a terrible decision, and the play breaks down. And when you press as far up as we do, when the play breaks down, you leave yourself open to counter attacks. So yeah, I mean it's disappointing, but at the end of the day, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it could have been, because to be honest with you, the way it was looking, I thought like you said at the beginning, it looked like we were going to get FM'd. It really did.
It looked like Birmingham all over again.
Yeah, basically. But I mean, what do you think to the equaliser? Was it handball? Do we even ask?
It was, but it's not like he's flicked his hand far out to get it and knock it in. He's kind of hands by his body, and he's moved out, and he may have just extended his elbow out a little bit and got it. So it's handball, but it's like he said after the game, yeah, he did touch my hand, but it's not my job to call the decision. It's the referee's job. If the referee hasn't called it, and then you hear these bloody Forest fans just saying, "Oh, there should be dock points. Rooffe should be banned for a year." There's actually, I think I saw it on.
Yeah, I was just going to allude to it. Yeah, go on.
They did exactly the same thing
about 4 years ago,
2014. Yeah, against Middlesbrough away from home. So
Cam's a bitch.
Hypocrite. Thy name is Forest. So. It was definitely handball, but like I said, it's you play to the whistle. You know, if it goes in off your hand, you could probably say, "Oh, you could do the sportsman thing." Well, that's that died long ago in football. It doesn't happen anymore, or rarely it happens. So it's up to the ref. The ref didn't call it, and considering the utter shit show we have to deal with against Brentford, I think it was about time that a wonky decision kind of favoured us rather than going against us.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things regarding what happened in that game that annoyed me. And like I said, the goal itself, I mean, I'm not sure. It looked as though it could have been going in anyway. But I obviously you couldn't be sure because obviously I don't think anyone ever showed like the line of where the ball was projected to hit, like if it were going to go in off the post. But one thing, they were all kicking off and going over to the linesman. But when that was happening, and then when the ref went over to speak to the linesman, I think, oh, he's going to chuff and disallow it. This was before we saw the replays as well. But I'm just thinking, how can he disallow it? Because how can he even see? All you'll be able to see is Roofe's back. His knee's quite up close to his arm. There's every chance it could have, from his point of view, bear in mind he might have only just seen his wrist, which I think it came off his... Well, from the angle you could see, I failed to understand how the lino would have been able to see it, so I don't think you can blame the lino for it. But like you say, it's a bit bittersweet on two accounts. The fact that there's some karma for them, that they did it before, and it's just good for us in terms of, from our point of view, because how many times have we been shat on? I mean, how many games is it since we've had a penalty? Like you said, you mentioned about Rooffe going down, and he lays it off. The guy didn't win the ball. He lays it off, and our guy gets it. You can't wave play on if it's in penalty box, can you? It's a load of shit.
Yeah, it's like what's been said numerous times over the last few years. If that happens anywhere on the pitch, anywhere else on the pitch, free kick gets given. So
100%.
You talked about how they were running over to the ref. I saw another video of Dawson Jansen goes to get the ball, and he swings at him.
Yeah. I think Forest are complaining. I think they're going to try and dock Jansen for headbutting Dawson's fist and get him like banned, for another 2 games or something like that. Violent conduct on his hand.
Wouldn't put it past him, I would suppose. You're mad, bro.
Yeah, I did see that though. In fact, I only saw it today, actually, believe it or not. But
same here.
It's just like what the actual how do people get away with stuff like that? And if that evidence was shown, you wouldn't be surprised if he got away with it. The intent was there, same as the headbutt, but they get away with it because it's. But I guarantee, if it had been Pontus doing it the other way, it'd have been banned.
Yeah,
and that's the annoying thing.
Leeds, we're not interested.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like that. I mean, it pains me. But I can't remember if I mentioned it before, but I think on the previous episode, I can't remember. But it was was it Closer? Is it for Norwich? He got done for swearing. Well, it's the basically about swearing, and people like some of these ones say, "No, I bet he don't get banned." He's not going to do because it wasn't for that comment. It was for the basically we were robbed, robbed by the referee. Basically, calling the ref a cheating bastard, which. Speaking the truth, funny, but you get punished for it. But
didn't Forest sort of do the same?
I don't think they did. I don't think they said it on camera to anyone. I think it was just a case of they picked up the swearing because they were complaining about the fact that we got an equaliser with Zamball at the end of the game, and it got picked up by the mic. So that I think the commentator apologised for it because we were saying, "Oh, it's one rule for us. They'll apologise for them, but not for us. We've got to actually apologise. Our Pontus is going to say, "Oh, can you mind your language," sort of thing. But yeah, I think it was just they were annoyed about it, which I think you in context at the heat of the moment you would be annoyed because if someone scores an handball past you, it's just blatant cheating. It apparently happened in the Arsenal game where in build up to their second goal, I think it was against Palace. Lacazette, I think it was.
Lacazette, I didn't see it.
I think he handled it. He punched it like he did like a Maradona type punch, and it fell. I didn't actually see the goal, but I saw the still, and his hands up like above everyone's head. So I can imagine it's frustrating as all, but it just seemed like for how they literally, from all I can remember, I mean, it said they had 3 shots. I only remembered the corner that they scored from, and that is it for the entire game. I cannot think of another chance that they got, and it would have been so undeserved if they'd have won that game. And I'm just glad we didn't lose, because obviously I think Forest were one of the teams that had hit a bit of form recently, and they were trying to catch up and get into like the top 6. And obviously we're second now, but obviously it's still so tight and no one seems to be breaking away. And ideally, if we'd have won that game, but the team is still top at league and still we have every chance of, even if it just doesn't say Sheffield United, just if there's 2 of us, I'd rather there be 2 of us fighting for one play for the 2 spots basically. So then
rather than 6 trying to go to 2.
I don't really give a crap about winning the league. I just want us to get out of the league in the right direction, And if that means finishing second, I'd rather that than have to go through the playoffs, because we all know how awesome we are in the playoffs, and that's the one thing that concerns me, because I've had enough of losing to Watford and Doncaster and losing to Millwall in the semis. It's a load of shit. I know obviously you break your curse eventually. Look at Preston. I think it was Preston that had so many playoff heartaches and to get back into this league, but it's so frustrating because it feels like a waste of a season. I mean, every single season where you don't even get a playoffs, it hurts even more. Now, you can understand why Reading did so bad last season and why we did so bad the first time when we got relegated into League One the following season. I mean, who would you say was his best player in that game, Matt?
Hernandez, possibly, was very good. Again, you've seen what we've been missing over the last few weeks with him being injured.
Spark.
He 9 times out of 10 he makes the right decision when going forward, and he's always guaranteed to do something. I thought Jack Clark was very good. He stretched the play at the back. He gave us something a little bit different, a little bit of an injection of pace. I think it was his initial ball across the from the right that came back across, and then in off Kemar, Maradona, Roof.
Yeah, he had a good effort as well, didn't he? That one that he tried bending it, didn't he? He took a bit of power.
Yeah, he wasn't far. It was like one of his first touches, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would really like having a tug over that. If it had gone in, I think I might have done. But
yeah, so he was pretty good. I don't know. I mean, barring that, I thought Forshaw was pretty good as well.
Yeah,
I was unsure about him coming in for size, but he got the ball down. He's probably not going to be as good in that position as Saiz, but I thought he did very, very well. But I'd say a toss up between those 3, and I'd probably give it to probably Hernandez, but I don't know. Kemar Roof as well, possibly just for the goal. On the subject of Kemar Roof, there's I've sent the image to G on Twitter. It's basically Roof's head on Maradona's famous hand of God.
I need to remember to put that in.
Put it in the video. It's brilliant. Yeah, so that's another bonus for us getting away with this. I'd probably say Hernandez.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, bear in mind that literally we only conceded to a corner, which is obviously our biggest weakness at this moment in time. So it was not surprising. I actually thought that I thought Phillips was absolutely immense. The amount of tackles he won to stop him. Like I said, I'm just thinking because we limited him to 3 shots. Yes, they were sitting back and parking bus and whatever, but he seemed to break up a lot of play. Didn't really give the ball away as well. Obviously, like you said, Hernandez was very creative. Just say that he was the one that was making things tick, but I didn't think things really clicked into place in terms of the passing in the final third and the actual creating chances. We didn't seem to have anything majorly be created, because as well as Forshaw did, he stayed on for the whole game. That's right, didn't he? He did, didn't he? I'm sure he did.
I believe so,
I think so, yeah, because we took off... Pierce came on and then went off.
And
Dallas came on. Well. No, Dallas started, didn't he? Did he? Yeah. Yeah, Dallas started and went over to right back when Ayling got injured. 2 months out as well. That's a pain in the dick.
We'll get to that, yeah.
Yeah, but basically, from what I remember, Clark came on. He changed the dynamic of it because he was just like fearless. He was just taking them on for fun. And then, like I said, Saiz came on for me, and I thought he did him. And when he came on, something just seemed to happen with the team where we actually started to create meaningful chances rather than just like half chances on long range efforts. Like I'm thinking of like the one that Forshaw did. We had a shot that just went wide at first half, and we had a deflected shot that the giant Pantimilion or whatever it's called, that Romanian beast.
Pantelimon, yeah,
that's the one. He made that only save he made it first half, if I remember rightly. So it was when Saiz come on and we started. Well, I think we risked back taking took pace off, so we had like 3 at the back instead of like 4, and we started going for it. I don't know if it was partly that or because Saiz came on that we had a bit more creativity as well. So I'd think that Saiz had a bit of an impact in that. Because I don't know, it just seemed. I just felt that when they come on, the chances started to flow. But yeah, I mean, like I say, I was really pleased with how Clark played, but I don't think you could give it man of match. We were only on for like 10, 15 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But so I think you're probably right. Probably would be Hernandez, but I can't go without saying, well done to Phillips because he broke up a lot of attacks and got us going back forward again. Who would you say was the worst player? Who performed the worst? Who's most at risk getting dropped?
Possibly Alioski, maybe, but I can't see it happening. I don't want to beat up on the guy, but sometimes some of his passing and all round play is a little bit woeful. Dallas potentially.
Yeah.
I don't think he played very well, but he's been pigeonholed into a position that probably isn't where he's most comfortable. But so a little bit unfair to say Dallas potentially, but I think just if looking on the balance of play and how he played, I think you probably would angle it in his direction.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I think, but I just purely for the fact that it's him he's the only one who made a mistake. Really?
Yeah,
that's all. That's cost us, and that's the only thing I can think of. Like you said, why there were no one up post, no idea. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
I do that a lot. Sorry.
Yeah, whatever. I'd probably go with Dallas for that one. I wouldn't go with Pierce because he was pulled off because I don't think it was performance wise. I think it was tactical.
Definitely tactical.
That he came off. So yeah, I'd probably go with Dallas for that one.
And basically, as I've just said there, I'd probably agree with that as well. So yeah, just briefly we'll touch on the injury to Ayling before we move on to the preview. So 2-month injury. Apparently, it's the same injury, but maybe not quite as major as what he got last time, which ironically was also against Nottingham Forest. It was Liam Bridcut by all accounts last time.
Yeah. So I don't think it's so much of a problem for the fullback area because I think we've got Shackleton who came in there, and I think I remember he did pretty well against Swansea.
Yeah.
Dallas who can go in there as well. Barry Douglas is on his way back, who you could possibly slide either Douglas or maybe Pearce out there at a stretch because the fullbacks, I know they're left backs, but maybe they can go out there. I think the biggest problem this poses, this injury and the injury of Berardi, is we've got no backup to Cooper and Pontus now because they were the main backups. If one of them was going off or was suspended, it'd be Ayling slotting in there or Berardi. We do have Shaughnessy or aka Shagnasty
to us, yeah,
who played there early last season. But I mean, we've got 2 months to go until the transfer window. We're not going to be able to get anyone else in.
Well, the only other person I can think of is Prince Pineapple Head, Calvin Phillips. That's the only other person I can think of who has done it when there's been 3.
Yeah, potentially. So yeah, I mean, I think the big problem there is going to be centre back. We said that at the start of the season with just 2 recognised centre backs. I think maybe Paudie O'Connor would have probably been a shoe in to go into that area. He did pretty well when he came in towards the back end of last season, but unfortunately now he's out on loan. Yeah. So it's disappointing, and it's sort of like it's par for the course when you have such a small squad. This is one of the reasons I didn't want. I would have preferred to see maybe a bit more depth because it's a 46-game season, and that's not even factoring in cup games. So you're going to get injuries, you're going to get suspensions, and when you sit on the ground in a particular area like centre back, and this sort of stuff happens. Yeah, all it takes is Pontus to get sent off or Coops to get injured, and we're struggling.
We're like back to last season in a sense, where we didn't have any. We're relying on youngsters coming through. Just briefly, I'll just touch on my opinion as to why we've got a small squad. It's a opinion; it's not the only opinion. But basically, what I'm thinking is, it's they blood the youngsters through for a reason, and the reason is probably theoretically to raise money from player sales, because you're not going to sell the youngsters if they never play. If they're showcased, then there's every chance that someone might think, "Hey, it looks like it could be decent." £10 million will offer him, and we'd snap their hand off. If you know what I mean. So it could be a bit of a point, maybe not 10 million, but it could vary in terms of price. But the idea is that's why he's doing it. I think he's bedding them in. Some of them might stay if we get Premier League. Might not even have to worry about that. But I think a lot of teams do that. Look at like Chelsea. Like, how many players have they got that go out on loan every year until like 24 years old and then end up moving on for about, I don't know, £6 million, and they might have signed him for like £1 million. So it's all about. It's basically, in a way, it's kind of clever. I mean, that's what Otto's been doing. He's been bringing all these players in. I reckon, unless they decide unless they are actually good enough, it's to sell them on and make a profit. In my opinion, that's just my 2 pence worth with that. I don't know if you've got any opinion on that matter, whether you think I'm talking bollocks.
I'm not that. My opinion or thought on it could potentially be with a big squad of first team players. You only get to pick 11 of them to start, and another 7 substitutes, and keeping everyone happy when they're not playing. It might be a headache that he doesn't want to particularly deal with. That's understandable because we play Football Manager. We know I'll bugger off. You're not playing because the other guy ahead of you is better than you.
Yeah,
so shut up and get out of my office. So with the youngsters, it's sort of like they're not going to come in demanding first team football. They're going to be happy with what they're getting, and if they prove themselves, then they'll get more game time. So it could be that. It could be your theory as well. It could be something completely different, but I'm not a. I don't think. I don't want us to go out there and buy 6, 7 players. I don't think we need that, but 1 or 2 more first teamers, someone to cover Phillips and someone to cover one of the centre backs or another centre back, and maybe a winger. I don't want to, I don't want to just say we definitely need one. I think it might be advantageous to have one, but
it's not a necessity as such.
Yeah, we don't need to add massive numbers, 2, maybe 3, and I think we'd be set. And I don't think it would upset the apple cart if some of them aren't playing as regularly as they think they should be. So, but that's just my 2 cents. If you bring another winger in, Jack Clark may not get another game. May not get as many game times. I think he really has potential. So, I'd like to see him maybe start a little bit more. But that's just my opinion.
Have to wait and see. Which on that as well, we were saying starting, like up top for the next game, we should be starting, which is of course against Wigan. They've got a strange fault there. Apparently, like to eat Cornish pasties in a tea cake. Right, okay. So yeah, very strange bunch even. It could be brunch, I suppose. Right, so I'll let you take the lead on this one, Matt. How have Wigan been performing in the league so far, and who should we be looking out for? Who should we? I can't even get my words out. Who should we be worried about?
Well, overall form, been a bit Jekyll and Hyde. I've got some stats here. They've played 7 at home and 8 away. From the 7 home games, they've won 5, drawn 2, and lost 0 from what I've seen.
Wow.
Away from home, they've won 1, drawn 1, lost 6. So, like I said, it's the Fortress DW at the moment.
Right. So a little bit harder than what I probably thought.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting them to be that good in terms of form, but they are.
Yeah, fair play to them.
In terms of players to look out for, I think Will Grigg.
He's on fire. Our defence will not be terrified because we've got Pontus.
Yeah, so he could be one to look out for. James Vaughan's there. I remember he had an okay spell with Everton. Nick Powell, always decent to create something. I thought we maybe should have tried to get him when he left Man United, but wasn't to be because back then we were cheap and we still are apparently. Yeah, honestly, I'm not too well up on the actual the Wigan squad and who's doing well. They do have some names that Reece James. We were sort of linked with him towards I think it's like last season when we were really going through
centre back, isn't he? Is it?
I thought he played left back. Oh no, he's in on loan actually. Let me just from Chelsea actually.
Right.
Reece James. So yeah, I don't know how long he's been there for. Cause I'm fairly certain. Was he there last season?
It might
I can't quite remember if he was there last season. I know he might have been with one of the. He's just reading through some of his details here. I probably should have done this beforehand, but I think maybe he's signed. Signed a fresh 4-year deal with Chelsea on the same day as Hot Pro, just making
that makes
his
sense.
first loan away from Stamford Bridge. So I think he was away on loan somewhere potentially. I think maybe League One and he did okay. pretty well. But I remember us being linked with him, I think. Alex Bruce is a name we'll be familiar with. Don't know how much he plays recently, but he had a bit of a a spell with us at one point. But yeah, I mean, there's not really many standouts for me. Like Powell and Will Grigg, the ones you'll probably be looking at. Devontae Cole, who, if you watch G's Tranmere series from FM 18, he was there, but he's out on loan actually, so we don't have to really worry about him. But yeah, they've got a couple of danger men, but again, it's just the home form is what concerns me the most. But generally, we've been probably better away from home than we have been at home. We've dropped some points at home. We drew to Borough. We lost to Birmingham. We just drew to those, knobheads from Nottingham. Brentford, of course. Let's not bring that up again. So, yeah, we're probably better away from home. So I still fancy us to get a result, but it might be a bit more tricky than people are anticipating.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair assessment, really. Like, I was surprised when you just said there that they're unbeaten at home. I really wasn't expecting that at all. But, it's usually the case with Leeds. If they've lost every game all season, upstep Leeds, you'll beat them, generally speaking. That's what always seems to happen. But also, if they're on a good run, generally, we're usually quite good at breaking that run as well. So, swings and roundabouts sort of thing. But hopefully it'll be... it's going to happen this weekend. It's a Sunday game, isn't it? It's 1:30 kickoff. I know it's on Sky, isn't it? Again, on Sky Sports Leeds. And, so... I suppose we move on to the predictions. I haven't actually got a prediction from Mike as of yet. I've asked for one. If he sends us one during the rest of the recording, I will let you know. But otherwise, it'll probably be on the next one. So yeah, I'm still waiting, unfortunately. So yeah, I'll let you go first, Matt.
I think it's going to be a tricky one. I think, like I said, considering their form and they've not been beaten, but away from home, I don't know. It kind of feels like we maybe play with a little pressure. The Ellen Road crowd is obviously very, very loud, very passionate.
Yeah.
And that can sometimes potentially intimidate not only the opposition, but ourselves as well occasionally. I think we've seen in the past. But I fancy us to win this game. I don't think we're going to trounce them, but I'm going to go for a solid 2-0 win.
2-0. Right,
yeah, and just
written down.
Pray there's no more injuries.
Yeah, true enough. I'm going to say...
controversies.
Well, yeah, controversies. Yeah, true enough. So you said 2-0. So I'll just write this down, Matt. 2-0. I'm going to say, I hope we win, but I can see us drawing. It's going to be 1-1 again. We're going to get more draws than IKEA this season. So that's what I feel anyway. So I'm going to say 1-1. You're saying 2-0, and then see what Mike says. If he guesses one of ours, then or says exactly the same as one of ours, then we'll get it changed. Oh, you're joking. He has actually just replied. Oh, no, it's you. Bloody hell.
Yeah, I was just putting it in there so we don't forget it, because every time we come to this, it's like, what did you say?
Yeah.
It's in there now.
Well, I've written it down as well, so but it's just a case of I just thought, I thought Mike had put 1-1 same as me. I thought, oh, bastard, I'll have to change the thing.
Despite the facade we kind of present here, we're very unorganised for these episodes for the most part. We never really organised.
We just do it on the spot, basically.
Okay, we're ready to go. Oh, shit, I just forgot to set this up. I need a piss.
Yeah, that's what it is, generally speaking. Right, so I suppose, I don't think there's anything else that we need to cover until that. But, I mean, hopefully, if you guys can leave us your thoughts below in the comments and give us your predictions, what you think's going to happen. How do you feel about us scoring a Hand of God goal? Obviously, it's a bit shit that we've scored in my last thought, if you like. Bit shit that we scored it because it's never nice, but we've had it happen to us. You know, I remember Real Madrid doing it against us in the Champions League. Raul scored, and Aitor Karanka, who was the manager of Nottingham Forest, he celebrated with him. So for me, it was karma for me that on him more than anything. So as far as I'm concerned, justice is done. Let's move on, forget about it, and we're on to Wigan. So all that's left to do is pimp your channel. So Matt, go ahead, mate.
So if you've been watching the series, you know I do some racing content for the most part. But I am going to be starting a Football Manager series. I've said this before, but I'm going to start a new series, and I'm not quite sure when I'm going to start it. It's going to be soon. It's either going to be Sunday or potentially Wednesday of next week when I'm going to start it. I'm getting all the bits and bobs in place, well, I should have a little preview video of that coming up very soon. So if you haven't gone ahead and check my channel out, go ahead, subscribe. If you're into your Football Manager or if you're into your racing, you know where to go.
And obviously, you know myself by now, or I should hope anyway. Unless you're new to the channel, if so, welcome. But yeah, don't know what the hand was all about. But anyway, yeah. So I know you can't, but it was just like I just saw it in I've got the recording alongside it. Just like literally, like like you like do the noise for like the sound of bass, and you float your hand aside and bob it up and down. It was like that. So I just thought it looks a bit gimpish, so never mind. Yeah, so I obviously moved over to Twitch for the Football Manager content. Had some really good streams actually so far. Been really, really enjoyable. Had a lot of people come in and stick around, Arnie style. But yeah, in terms of the YouTube, this is the only thing that happens now on YouTube. And we'll be back, I guess, next week at some point after the Wigan game. So until then, we shall see you then. Bye-bye.